Hey, it's Dr. Ernst, host of the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Did you know that type 2 diabetes can be reversed in as little as 90 days? Yes, you heard that right. In just 90 days, blood sugars, insulin, and even A1C can be reset to normal when you stop chasing the symptoms of high blood sugar and high A1C. They are the reactions of an underlying metabolic interference, usually stemming from metabolic subluxations, toxic interferences like heavy metals and pesticides, and a leaky gut, which research shows can create antibodies that attack the insulin receptors, thus making you insulin resistant. If you're looking for a way out of type 2 diabetes that doesn't involve medications and finger sticks and all the mess of medicine, join me on Saturday, February 14th for Diabetes Heal Thyself, a free online masterclass where I will show you the steps that you need to implement to make your diabetes diagnosis disappear. Visit quicklearnmore.com/diabetes to register. That's quicklearnmore.com/diabetes to register.
Would you like to experience a better night's sleep? Want to feel well rested and ready for your day? Discover an amazing solution with Celient Sleep Recovery. Our Celient Sleep Recovery products are made from a patented yarn embedded with a blend of 13 infrared active minerals. Celient technology never washes out. The benefits will last for their entire lifespan. Minerals reflect the body's own energy by using Celient infrared active technology, boosting your oxygen levels and improving circulation to reach REM sleep gracefully. Our customers love to comfortably sleep throughout the night because of Celient. We've conducted 9 independent clinical studies by well-respected scientific institutions and universities that prove the many positive effects Celient has on the body. Our technology is designed to help you achieve a refreshing sleep recovery. Get into bed to experience our smooth Celient Egyptian cotton blend sheets. Protect your mattress against the sands of time with our Celient mattress protectors. With our pillow protectors, you get the benefits of our recovery therapy. Explore new places and feel well rested throughout your journeys. Discover luxurious support that allows you to sleep in almost any position. Neck blankets are small and compact. You can bring them with you just about anywhere. Experience the foundation your body deserves. Start waking up refreshed and always ready for the day ahead. It's time to achieve the best sleep of your life to unlock your hidden potential. Start experiencing a better night's sleep with our Celient Sleep Recovery products today. Celient. Recycle your body's energy.
What if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1. We search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2. We test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3. We nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Hey, good afternoon. It is after 3 o'clock on a Saturday, which means it's the Ask Dr. Ernst show. My name is Dr. Ernst, and I am excited for our topic today. As you know, this is the show where pounds are shed. Yeah, your body can actually burn fat naturally when you remove the interference, where disease is dead. We're going to talk today about taking type 2 diabetes and reversing it in as little as 90 days. And where you get to be set free, because ultimately when you become your own doctor and you learn and become educated as to foundational root causes, this is not complicated science. You know, the idea of the 1950s and 1960s where I don't know what's going on and I need to ask my doctor and whatever they say is just what I have to follow. Guys, that's all dead. With AI technology, with the internet, with the availability that you have at your fingertips, you can find out what to do for your health so you get a massive outcome. And of course, it gives you a sense of freedom because you're the one who did it. You don't have to be chained down by pharmaceutical mantras and, the regulations of insurance and just all of that mess. So I want you to take a moment today and just breathe, because today's show is going to put a totally different framework around what's going on in most people's bodies in the United States. Did you know that statistically 1 out of 3 adults over the age of 50 have insulin resistance? That's unheard of in the yonder years. Diabetes used to be something that was extremely rare in the 40s and 50s and 60s. But here we are in 2026, and there's a chance that out of 3 people listening to me, one of you is like, yep, I already have diabetes. The other one is saying, I've been told to have pre-diabetes, and I just need to wait and find out if it turns into that. And the other one has been told you're fine. So it's a huge challenge in the United States today. The title of our show topic, How to Reverse Diabetes in 90 Days or Less. And I'm going to come at you from the fact that I have been a functional clinical practitioner for more than 20 years now. And I have seen countless numbers of people physically work with us, not just here in the Charlotte area where our radio show spreads across, but all over the United States. We have virtual coaching programs, California, New Mexico, North Dakota, Arizona, people who are tying into our remote virtual health coaching program and taking diabetes and just knocking it to the door in as little as 90 days. And I know this phrase can trigger some people because some of you are thinking, that sounds a lot like just a marketing ploy, Dr. Ernst. Others have been told, look, I've already tried everything and nothing's been working. And a few of you are maybe even saying to yourself, yeah, but my medical doctor says that that's not possible. Diabetes can't go away in 90 days. So you, Dr. Ernst, must be incorrect. But let's start with something. I'm not here to argue with your doctor as a person. I'm here to challenge an outdated model and a way of thinking about a condition known as diabetes. The model that most people are taught is this: diabetes is a problem of blood sugar. You have too much blood sugar. We need to treat your blood sugar. We need to lower your blood sugar. So therefore, you would be controlled as a diabetic. But that's like looking at the smoke and calling the smoke the actual fire. There's a lot of smoke. If we get rid of the smoke, we'll put the fire out. Nah, not necessarily. So am I saying that blood sugar is not the main issue if you're listening to my voice today and you have type 2 diabetes? Exactly. Here's the challenge. Blood sugar is the signal. And it's something that can be very easily measured. In fact, you even have at-home sugar monitors. $19 at the local pharmacy, and you can find out what your blood sugar looks like. That is just a check engine light. Yes, it's helpful. It's good to know. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. It's good to know what your blood sugars are. Even if you don't have diabetes, you should be randomly checking your blood sugars, because a fasting sugar waking in the morning over 90, medically over 99, is a problem. And the challenge is, most of you, if you actually did this, if you listened to my voice today and you went on your way home from work or wherever you are
and you went to Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, whatever, and you bought that $19 sugar monitor, and you wake up tomorrow morning and you check it, there's like a 60 to 70% chance it's north of 100. And that should make you go, uh-oh. Normal fasting blood sugar is 90 or less. The average American will not be able to sustain that because most of us have metabolic health issues. The real problem is not that the sugars are slightly high. It's the breakdown in metabolic communication. It's how your hormones, your liver, your muscles, your brain, your gut are not taking that sugar and making energy out of it effectively. So what I'm going to say can sound like a bold statement, but it's important. In many cases, what is termed type 2 diabetes is your body's adaptive response to chronic overload. Look, if you want some more details about this, I have a brand new ebook. It's called Diabetes Heal Thyself. It's yours free. Just text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. The ebook is going to give you all the details you need so you can actually fix this thing called diabetes, and you can reverse it in 90 days. I have everything you need, the diet, the methods, the underlying root causes. It's free. Plus, watch this. We had a massive masterclass this morning on heart disease. 1,700 people online. It was one of the biggest events I've done in quite some time. So on the 14th of March, yes, it's a couple weeks away from today, we're going to do the same thing for diabetes. So if you no longer want to have diabetes, if you want to get rid of finger sticks and insulin usages and metformin and glucophage and all the GLP-1s that everybody's using for diabetes. If you want to become medication free and get your sugars under control the right way, let's stop looking at the smoke. Let's start looking at the fire. What is actually going on inside your body? And you can get all the info free by texting the word diabetes plus your name and your email to 704-906-2094. Here's what no one talks about. Elevated blood sugar is a reactive adaptation. Think of it as a survival mechanism to the following: dietary stressors. We just got to be blunt. Most of us just don't eat real food. Toxins, heavy metals, pesticides, all this stuff, glyphosate, it piles up inside of our body and it can cause big issues. Excuse me. Sleep disruptions, inflammation, sedentary lifestyles. A big one that no one discusses, neurological dysregulation, the way your brain uses your spinal cord to tell your liver and your pancreas what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So the tragedy is we often medically look at the symptom and we say, that's the disease. You have high blood sugar. Your A1C is high. You have diabetes. Actually, you technically don't have diabetes because diabetes is just a word. What they should say is, you have massive chronic inflammatory dietary stress, more than likely. You have major toxicity, more than likely. You have a massively leaky gut that's causing an inflammatory response and destroying your insulin receptors, more than likely. You have nerve damage where your brain is losing connection from your tissues and your system is basically in disarray, more than likely. And that's what you have. And how do we know it? Your blood sugars are elevated. Oh, and by the way, most people with diabetes, their cholesterols are elevated, their weight is elevated, their triglycerides are elevated, their blood pressure is elevated. Do you notice it's all elevations? So what I'm hoping you walk out of today's show with are the 6 foundational pillars that can reset your blood sugar, lower your A1C, and yes, fix your fasting insulin. Because if you want reversal, you have to know what is driving the inflammatory process in the first place. So a quick note. We are educating. We're not diagnosing. Obviously, if you have type 2 diabetes and you're taking medications, you need to have someone who's classically and or functionally trained to help you with this. And I say this to say many of you have probably tried a whole host of things. So you need a health coach. You need an advisor. Okay, the Ask Dr. Ernst network and the clinics in the Charlotte area that we have can help you with that. Visit AskDrErnst.com. That's AskDrErnst.com for more info on that. So let's start with just a unique question, right? Let's do a simple thought experiment, guys. You can do this. If diabetes was mainly just a blood sugar problem, then lowering blood sugar would mean you reverse it, right? If elevated blood sugar is the cause of your diabetes, bring your blood sugar down and you will no longer have diabetes. Sounds very logical, doesn't it? And that's how the system thinks. So conventional, classic physicianry. Blood sugar's high, we're going to push it down. It's the entire strategy. All the drugs are built around the idea of, can we just lower that blood sugar for some reason? Here's the catch. You can push blood sugar down all you want, but it's not about the elevations in sugar. It's about the resistance of insulin and that it's not working. So this is why most people say this. My A1C is going down, because A1C is a reference of your blood sugar over long periods of time. The drugs are bringing my blood sugar down. My A1C is going down, but I'm still overweight. I still have high blood pressure. I still have all these problems. I still have all the symptoms of diabetes, but my doctor says I'm controlling my diabetes. Or my doctor is super happy with my labs, but my weight isn't going down. I'm still exhausted. I have high blood pressure. Everything I just mentioned to you. Let's define the success stories correctly. Reversal means that your body is actually handling sugar properly with less insulin. This is the big key, guys. If you lower your insulin and you lower your inflammation, your blood sugars will innately lower themselves down, and that is how we look at reversal. Reversal is not, I took a ton of medications and my numbers went down, and as long as I take them, I no longer have diabetes. That is called suppression, not reversal. So when we talk about 90 days, that's because that is exactly how long it takes for your tissues and your red blood cells to turn over and become new. Did you know that all the red blood cells in your body are replaced about every 90 days? Which is why A1C is a reference of the last 90 days of your blood sugar fluctuations. More importantly, insulin signaling can drastically change in a matter of weeks. So if we get insulin better, your sugars come down. So what is the first major pillar to making your diabetes go away in 90 days? Stop focusing on blood sugar. Start looking at your fasting insulin. If I had to choose one lab marker that I would look at more than anything else for a diabetic, it's fasting insulin. And here's what's crazy. Most people do not get their fasting insulin levels tested. What is the standard diabetic test? Great question. I'm so glad you asked. Fasting blood sugar, A1C, that's about it. So if your fasting sugar is good and your A1C is good and you're medicating, they have no idea what your insulin is doing. And this is one of the biggest blind spots in conventional medical care. Endocrinologists, standard physicians, they skip over this. Think about it like this. If your house is flooding, glucose is the water that's on the floor, but insulin is the pipe and the pressure inside the wall. If you never check the pipes for their pressure, you'll just keep mopping up the floor forever. Oh my God, there's all this water everywhere. Let's try to soak up all the water. But there's an actual leak of a pipe, a broken pipe, and the pipe is making more water come out. So you just constantly are trying to get rid of all the water. If I could just get rid of all this excess glucose, I'd be fine. But if you fix the pipe and you stop leaking the water, the sugar, then everything gets reset. So insulin is like a pipe. It's a storage hormone. It's also a growth hormone. It's a signaling hormone. It tells your body, store energy, don't burn fat. This is why so many type 2 diabetics struggle to lose weight. Their insulin is high and no one's addressing it. And hold on to reserves. And it's not a bad thing in a normal situation, but when it's chronic insulin elevation, like most type 2 diabetics have, this is where the problem happens. So when you eat a high-carb breakfast, like most of us do, cereal, toast, juice, coffee, sugar with it, milk with it, dairy with it, boom, glucose goes up. The pancreas will release insulin because it has to, and then the insulin's job is to push sugar into the cell. Glucose should then go down, and then cravings will hit, and so we eat again, and then you do your classic Americanized lunch. a breaded sandwich with chips and a sweet tea. So what happens? Insulin goes up again because it's a lot of carbs. Then you have an afternoon crash. And what's dinner? Well, usually pasta, rice, and some dessert. Insulin goes up again. So at the end of the day, your insulin has been elevated for hours upon hours. And if you do that for year after year, your body does something really unique. It says this: hey, if we're constantly being stimulated for insulin because my user is constantly eating high carbohydrate, very low nutrient density foods, we need more insulin. We see the pattern of our user. This person is eating nothing but carbohydrates. So rather than having these massive fluctuations of insulin, what your body does is it increases the production by itself. Your pancreas says, let's start to just naturally secrete more insulin so we are ready for what this user is doing. And most bodies will choose that. They force more insulin production, and it's an attempt to try to survive. So here's the challenge. Fasting insulin is ideally low. So if you haven't eaten food for like 8 hours, your insulin should be at 5 or less. So the normal range is 5 or less with fasting insulin. Most type 2 diabetics I work with, their fasting insulin is 19 or 20 or 25, 30, etc., which is a clear indication that they have large amounts of circulating insulin in their blood. Now here's the key. To lower insulin, blood sugar will start to become controlled better, but not because you're forcing your sugars down. It's because you're letting the insulin do its job and you're letting the insulin dissipate. And so as a result, blood sugars drop naturally. So here's the ultimate question, right? Because I know what you're thinking. How on earth do I fix high insulin? So if I'm going to stop looking at blood sugars and I'm going to actually do it the right way and focus on insulin, how do I get insulin to come down? So let's talk about it in some simple practical ways. Number one, stop eating all the time. Stop grazing. This concept of 6 meals a day to help you lose weight, now bad advice. For insulin-resistant people, that is like stoking a fire every 2 hours and wondering why it keeps reigniting. Insulin elevations, constant and chronically, not going to let the insulin levels come down. You want your insulin to go up for short periods of time, then come down and stay low, and then just come up for a period of time, then come down and stay low. Second, so we got to stop eating all the time and snacking all the time, is we have to change the order of your operational food consumption. Build your meals around protein first, then fat, then fiber-rich carbs, meaning low glycemic carbs. Proteins and fats slow sugar introduction into the bloodstream. So if your meal is more fat than protein and more protein than carbs, that's the key, just you won't absorb a lot of those latent fiber-rich carbs, meaning the insulin demand is lower. So for example, a high-fat, moderate protein, low-carb meal, very low insulin secretion because there's not a lot of carbohydrate absorption. This is why, by the way, the carnivore diet and the keto diets work so well for diabetics, because we physically decrease the carbohydrate consumption. And we have to stop treating carbohydrates like, they're all equal. The carbs found in a bagel is wildly different than the carbs found in strawberries. There's a difference between a sweet potato and a soda. So healthy carbs, even for a diabetic, could be too much. So we try to say this: stop eating as much carbohydrates as you can, added sugars, mostly focus on proteins and fats. And when you do that, your insulin levels will start to come down. And as a result, your blood sugars start to come down because we're focusing on insulin, not blood sugars. You can also use timing, right? So intermittent fasting is a great way to do this. So the first pillar of lowering is to focus on your insulin more than your blood sugar. And here's the key. Medication escalations to chase after blood sugars, that's the pharmaceutical approach. Partly because it won't work because your body's going to naturally kick the sugar back up again. And it's a great business model for someone to say, well, we started you on a low dose. Your sugars went down slightly, but now they've come back up again. So take more. Hey, they went down. They came up back again. So take more. Guys, it's a pharmaceutical ploy because they know If you paid attention to insulin instead of sugar, you could actually fix this yourself. I hate to say it, that's why the medical doctors don't check insulin. Okay, number 2, we have to focus on your liver. It is a fact that your blood sugar thermostat is your liver. And guys, I have all the information you need on cleaning your liver, the details on how to reset your liver in the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook. Just text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I'll send you the ebook for free. It'll give you everything you need on step-by-step how to lower insulin, how to clean out your liver, how to get your sugars to start coming down innately. And then you can join me for the masterclass on the 14th of March. It's a couple weeks away from today, but I'm telling you, it's going to get packed. So be an early adopter and take it right now. Okay, so your liver is your primary sugar thermostat. If nobody's ever told you this before, I'm going to say something. Ready? If you don't eat anything, like you fast, and you think, like, why is my blood sugar still slightly high? It's because your liver needs to be cleaned out. So some people that are diabetic will try to fast and go, well, my sugars are going up. How can that be? I'm not eating. If you wake up with high fasting sugar in the morning, it's usually your liver. Your A1C is not going to budge even if you cut out carbs. So what on earth is going on in your liver? Well, your liver stores something called glycogen, which is a stored version of sugar, and it will release it as needed. And that's normal. But in metabolic dysfunction, what happens is the liver is inflamed and often insulin resistant. So insulin is no longer able to properly signal the liver to just slowly push sugar out into the blood. So your liver starts acting like a stressed out parent that just keeps packing snacks even when the kids are like, I've already eaten, cut it out. Okay, glucose release just because is a liver dysfunction. And let's hit the big ones. Too much fruit sugar. Fructose, primarily found in fruits, is the primary aspect of what causes damage to the liver. Too much fructose, especially sweetened beverages and processed foods and constant snacking, causes a fatty liver physiology. Ultra-processed foods, industrial seed oils, refined flours, these are all oxidative stressors to the liver. Alcohol, toxins, and nutrient depletions, these are all things that can make your liver lose its natural functionality. And if your liver enzymes are slightly elevated or worse, your liver enzymes are normal, so you think it's okay, you could still be secreting high levels of sugar from your liver. So what does it look like to repair your liver in a diabetic healing program? Well, number 1, it starts with removing the irritants. The most irritating to your liver is liquid fructose sugar. So it's going to be sodas and sweet teas and even juices and smoothies. Basically, anything that's a fruit sugar bomb, keep those away from your liver because they will help to clean your liver out. Next, we need to increase protein-rich foods. Your liver needs protein to clean itself out. And we need to support your bile because that's the, juices of your liver, if you will. And bile is not just about digestion, it's about detoxing. So if your bile is congested, if your gallbladder is backed up or you don't have a gallbladder, you really need to focus on digestive enzymes and ox bile to get your bile moving. Then we got to make sure that you're using the correct minerals. Magnesium and potassium are the 2 biggest deficiencies we often find in insulin-dependent diabetics. High insulin will push your liver to fat storage, and it leads to fatty liver syndrome. And let me just make it this way. A stressed out liver elevates sugars in the morning, and a healed liver will let your sugars come down in the morning. Many people see fasting start to drop their sugars, but then all of a sudden, boom, they have this massive dump of excess sugar. That's your liver letting go of the stored sugar. And it brings us to where we now need to deal with the fact that we have to get your body burning the sugar properly instead. So if you are a type 2 diabetic and you're listening to our show today going like, really? Like 90 days is all it takes? Step number 1, download the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook. It's free right now, 704-906-2094. Text your name, your email, and the word diabetes. We'll send it to you today. Number 2, let's start focusing on insulin instead of blood sugar. Number 3, let's really get deep into the functionality of your liver. The ebook will give you all the details you guys need. And as we shift gears with this commercial break coming up, as I come back, we're going to go through the rest of the pillars that you can do right now to start watching A1C drop, blood sugars drop, yes, insulin drop, and watch energy come back, vitality kick in, weight start to come off, and even blood pressure come down over time. Hey, it's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Wine is a fermented beverage that has been enjoyed by humanity for over 8,000 years. Our ancestors believed in its magical healing powers. Wine has been a well-studied part of our history, but recently it's changed. The wines sold today in most stores and restaurants are not the same wines enjoyed by our ancestors. Today, wine is a highly processed, factory-made product filled with toxins and industrial additives. The grapes are farmed with machines and heavy pesticide use, and the marketing is misleading and dishonest. Wines free from this human intervention still exist. They're called natural wines. These wines are a return to the old way of making and enjoying wine. Free from commercial additives, high sugar, and heavy alcohol content, these wines are a beautiful expression of nature. They're also extremely rare. Less than 1% of the world's wines are grown to this standard. They're made in hyper-small quantities by family farmers who work by hand using ancient practices. This is the kind of wine that derive from wine sources. We search the globe looking for pure natural wines, carefully nurtured by family growers who work with nature, and we take it a step further, sourcing wines that meet our strict criteria for farming, purity, and taste. We only work with organically grown wines, farmed without irrigation and without heavy machinery. Grapes are hand-picked and then fermented using native wild yeast, not the industry standard GMO yeasts. Our wines are pure, lab-tested by an independent enologist for metrics including alcohol and sugar. They also taste extraordinary, bright, fresh, and full of life. They jump out of the glass because they aren't sterilized or heavily processed.
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
And what if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. Hey, my name is Dr. Ernst, and it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you get to be set free from your health problems. Hey, if you're just joining us, today we've been having a conversation that most people with diabetes have never been invited into. Not a conversation about managing numbers, not a conversation about lifelong medication dependency, but instead a conversation about how the human body actually works when it's no longer under chronic, constant interference. In the first half of the show, we walked through some foundational pillars that must be addressed if you or a loved one wants to bring your blood sugar back into normal control. We talked about insulin resistance and insulin being the actual master switch, not glucose. We talked about how your liver acts as a blood sugar thermostat, especially overnight. If you're waking up with subtly high sugars in the morning, you should be thinking more about your liver than anything else. And we're going to discuss now how your muscles are the primary destination for glucose. So if you're not using your muscles properly, working out effectively, etc., you're going to find that fat cells and other sugar components end up in your bloodstream, and it causes problems. And so here's what I want you to notice. If diabetes was a simple matter of just eat less sugar, take the proper medications to bring your blood sugars down, get your A1C reset, then we would be seeing diabetics become healed after periods of times of making their numbers look so good. What we see is people who cut carbs and exercise like crazy and try to lose weight, and they still struggle with the concept that their A1C is elevated and they can't get their blood sugars into the perfect state. So when we look at this instead, diabetes is not just a metabolic disease. It is an inflammatory, neurological, technically energetic dysfunction in the human body. So as we go through the remainder of these pillars, they're going to help you to understand what can you do right now to start fixing this concept of having a diabetic diagnosis or pre-diabetic diagnosis. So if you're listening today and you're going like, man, I'd love my blood sugars to come down. I'd like to stop having to inject or swallow or take things because my doctor says I have diabetes. 90 days, guys. That's all it takes. When you learn how to reactively go after the root foundations, your body is designed to reset itself. So we talked about you have to fast and lower your insulin levels. You have to get your liver cleaned out and functioning work properly. Then we got to start focusing on the fact that your muscles are physically designed to absorb sugar out of your blood rather than letting the sugar float around in your blood and stay in your liver. So if we were to say that, for example, if your blood is the highway, glucose are the cars on the highway, where are all of those cars supposed to go? See, most people say it's supposed to go to the liver and be processed, but in actuality, sugar should go to your muscles, and they're turned into energy. Your muscles are like massive parking garages for glucose. So if you have really high levels of glucose in your blood, we start thinking functionally like, you're not utilizing your muscles the way they were created. In insulin resistance, those parking garages close. The muscles don't work. The gates are not open. So the circulating cars, the sugar, they just keep floating around in your bloodstream, and then they're detected. Is a sedentary life a big driver for this? It is a huge aspect. I'm not just saying that you have to go exercise more. We're talking about being strategic with it. For some people, the wrong type of exercise can actually make your sugars go up because it spikes a stress hormone known as cortisol, and then insulin goes up. But here's a simple principle. The goal to increase glucose disposal is to not engage your cortisolic stress response. So one of the easiest ways to do this is going to sound nuts, is just go for a walk. A 10-minute walk after you eat any meal has been shown scientifically and metabolically to lower your blood sugars within minutes. Resistance training is another powerful tool because the muscle contraction itself activates glucose transporters that pulls the sugar out of your blood and gets it into the muscle where it is then broken down for energy. So what most people aren't doing is utilizing the raw power that you have of a simple walk after you eat and doing some light versions of resistance training and standard exercising. So it's less about exercising to lose weight, and it's more about increasing the function of what your muscles are designed to do in the first place. Weight loss should become a byproduct of your insulin levels lowering themselves down. When your liver calms down and your muscles start to consume sugar properly, that's where we start to see massive changes in people's numbers, not just sugars in A1C, but also in their weight. If we look at this properly, you can start to see drastic changes in your blood sugars. And again, it's built off this concept of sort of like what I'll call a 3-pillared engine. Insulin is the messenger, guys. When it's chronically high, your cells stop listening to it, and it tells your liver to store excess sugar as fat. The liver is your regulator. It's sort of the thermostat for what your blood sugars should be. When it's inflamed, it starts dumping out glucose at the wrong times, and we start to see chronic sugar elevations. And the muscles in your body, they're the consumers. They eat the sugar. So if they're inactive or inflamed, the sugar has nowhere to go. So if you were to take a look at how can we get your body back on track again, let's start with those 3 main pillars, and then let's shift to the other 3. And these 6 by themselves can drastically improve metabolic function. If you'd like some details on all 6 of them right now, download the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, a complete functional guide to reversing type 2 diabetes. Yours free when you text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Real simple, 704-906-2094. Okay, so pillar number 4, something that most diabetics don't pay attention to is the gut insulin axis. It does exist. Most people think of digestion as like, and your gut as, a mechanical process. I eat food, my stomach breaks the food down, nutrients gets absorbed, and waste comes out. That's the only purpose of my digestive system. Well, if that's the story that you've been told, that they're leaving out the most important aspect of your digestive system. It is your immune system. 70% of your immune system lives in and around your gut, which means that your gut is constantly deciding what is safe and what is a threat. And it makes a decision as to should it develop antibodies against the threats, or should it keep in you what it considers to be safe. When the decision making goes wrong, then your entire body can pay the price. Here's how your gut connects to diabetes. When the lining of your gut is compromised, meaning either ultra-processed foods, gluten sensitivities, chronic stress, here's the hardest part, medications. Yes, the very medications many of you take for your conditions is actually damaging your intestines, especially the diabetic medications out there. Guys, there's thousands of different drugs for diabetics. Some of them are oral, some of them are injectable. I mean, you get the idea behind it. But medications can cause damage to the lining of the intestines. And then what happens is particles, undigested food pieces, proteins, small bits and pieces of viruses and bacteria, they can leak through your gut and get into your bloodstream. Bacterial fragments, particularly undigested proteins and inflammatory compounds, can get into your blood circulation. And here's what your immune system does to those particles. It sees them as a foreign threat. And it builds an inflammatory reaction, sometimes even antibodies, against what it sees because of the leak. And here's the challenge. Inflammation blocks insulin receptors. It means that insulin can be present in your blood, glucose can be present in your blood, but your cells do not listen because the membranes of the cells are inflamed. And in this state, they cannot use insulin to get sugar to come into them. And this is a massive problem. This is why so many people will say, well, I drastically decreased my carbohydrates. I started working out like crazy. My blood sugars are still not going down. The signal is not getting through, not because insulin isn't there, but because the inflammatory process is drowning out the insulin effect. And it is your gut that does this more than anything else. It can actually produce antibodies against the insulin receptors and destroy them. So when your microbiome is balanced and your gut is sealed, this irritative inflammation attack starts to go away and your body becomes less inflamed. The insulin receptors become repaired. And then guess what? All this excess floating insulin starts to work, and then blood sugars start to come down. I want you to think of inflammation as like static while you're listening to my show. If you were to drive through a tunnel and all of a sudden you can't hear it, but I mean, I'm talking perfectly well. Got full signal on my mics. Everything's showing that we're broadcasting. So think of interference or static as like what happens when inflammation is present. Healing the gut is not just about chasing symptoms and getting you going more regularly. It's about restoring the actual integrity of the barrier of your intestines and reestablishing healthy immune response. So this process always begins with one thing: remove what is triggering your inflammation. And for like 90% of you, it's the foods that you choose to eat that are not foods. If we remove constant snacking that is keeping your gut in a perpetual state of constant work, then that'll help. If we remove the irritants, so wheat and rice and corn and oats, all the lectins and the glutens and the inflammatory components, casein from dairy, very inflammatory for your gut. So we have to remove these. Then we have to start repairing the actual tissue in the lining. This is where amino acids and minerals and short chain fatty acids are helpful. Mostly a gut healing diet is eating proteins and greens and nuts and seeds because it gives you the nutrients that you physically need. It's real solid food. And in the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, guys, there's a whole recipe list of the foods you should eat to fix your gut. It's free. Just text the word diabetes plus your name and email right now to 704-906-2094. When you start to repair your intestines and the inflammation goes down, guess what? This is why people see significantly improved blood sugars first. So often blood sugar drops, then insulin drops, then inflammation comes down, and your body starts to reset by itself. But the gut does not work in isolation. You can't just say, I'm going to seal my gut and that's going to solve all my problems. It's a deeply connected neurological tissue because it's a second brain. Physically, the research says your digestive system is the second nature of your brain. So this is where pillar number 5 comes in. Resetting your nervous system is a drastic must be done if you want diabetes to disappear in 90 days. One of the most overlooked drivers of blood sugar stability is chronic neurological inflammatory stress. And when I say stress, I'm not just talking about like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I'm talking about physiological, structural irritations to your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between different types of stress. It could be physical, mental, or emotional. All of them are perceived as a sympathetic stress. When the threat is physical, emotional, or perceived this way, the response is the same. Stress hormones shoot sky high. Cortisol is a primary stress response. And here's the crazy thing about cortisol, guys. Cortisol by itself elevates blood sugar. Cortisol can elevate insulin. And then we get stuck in the trap where my insulin is high, I'm inflamed, the receptors don't work, my blood sugar is going up, and my doctor's going to tell me I have diabetes, when in fact, you have the chronic response of physiological stress. The result of elevated blood sugars is actually more of a reactive nature. So here's what happens. Elevated cortisol signals the liver to release glucose. That reduces insulin sensitivity in the muscles, promotes fat storage in your liver, particularly also around your abdomen, and it shifts your body from repair mode to now survival mode. So somebody can eat perfectly and exercise constantly and still struggle because their body never truly feels safe to heal because neurologically it's stressed out. This is why you have an intelligent design in your body that when it senses danger, it will respond and react. Blood sugars can elevate as a result of being stressed out. This is where we need to start teaching you how to get out of fight or flight responses and get into what's called rest and repair. And this is where your nervous system and regulation of your nervous system is a non-negotiable. You must do this. You can do it by starting to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. And guys, this is why chiropractic plays such a huge role in metabolic healing. Not just diabetes, but any sort of metabolic condition, because your spine is not just a structural organ. It's an actual neurological tissue. When your nerve communication is impaired or subluxated between brain and organ, the organ regulation itself decreases. When nerve interference is reduced, there's research showing this, there's clinical case studies showing this. When you decompress your spinal system and you stimulate your parasympathetic nerves by getting a chiropractic adjustment, guess what they find? Blood sugars can drop 10, 15, 20 points. Blood pressures can drop 10, 15, 20 points. Your body goes through a state of just sort of going like, and it just releases the stress that it has, and the nervous system calms down. Cortisol starts to drop. Insulin sensitivity can improve. As insulin sensitivity improves, blood sugars stabilize. And the crazy thing is it happens with a chiropractic release of the spinal subluxations and stresses that you have been carrying inside of you without even knowing that they're present. One of the greatest things you can do, especially if you're diabetic, is find out if you have subluxations in your sympathetic and parasympathetic system. A subluxation is an interference in how your brain uses your nervous system to communicate to your organs. So a subluxated liver hypersecretes sugar, can cause elevations in blood sugar. A subluxated pancreas can hypersecrete insulin, which causes insulin elevations. A subluxated parasympathetic system, vagal nerves, can dysregulate the thermostats that are designed to keep your blood sugars regulated. So how do we work on that? Well, we get your spine evaluated, tested, looked at structurally, and if there's subluxations present, we use a structural-based chiropractic technique to release them. We take you through dietary coaching and training to help you hit the right macros between fats and proteins and carbs. We do liver testing to find out if your liver is toxic and or stressed out, which it is for like 99% of everybody that comes into our clinics. And we hand walk you through. Here's your detox. Here's your diet. Here's your supplementation. Here's your spinal corrective work. And guess what happens, guys? You can see your sugars reset drastically. You can see your insulin come down. You see your A1C come down. You see your diabetes just literally float away. But don't forget there's pillar number 6. This is what most people overlook. Hormones, mitochondria, and what's called your cellular energy engine. So I want you to think of it this way. Let's pretend we've done everything right. We have fixed insulin. We've brought the insulin levels down. We calm the liver out. It's no longer stressed and detoxed. So glucose is coming out of the liver and getting into your blood sugar, into your cells properly. The next question is this: can your cells use the sugar properly? Do you have the correct hormones and mitochondrial function to now actually make energy? The mitochondria are little tiny factories inside every cell of your body. They convert sugar and fat into energy. When your mitochondria are healthy, energy is abundant. Cravings diminish. Metabolic flexibility. You don't have to eat if you don't want to. You can actually fast for a day or two and not be massively craving foods. When everything's working, man, your system is on fire. Many people with diabetes, they're not making enough energy. And this is why they constantly crave, I've got to keep eating food. I'm so energy depleted. Innately, your body's going to say, hey, eat more energy producing molecules so I can try to make more energy. This is where hormones play a massive role. Thyroid hormones set the pace of your metabolism. If thyroid function is even slightly low, glucose utilization slows down. Testosterone and estrogen influence muscle mass and insulin sensitivity. So if testosterone is low for most men and estrogen is high for most people, we see an influx of the inability to use sugar properly. So the excess sugar floats around in our blood, and what do we get labeled as? Diabetic, when actually it's our hormones out of balance. Cortisol disruption shuts off mitochondrial efficiency. So if you're stressed out and your cortisols are off charts, then your mitochondria can't take sugar and make energy out of it. And on top of that, most of you are starved for the nutrients you need to actually make energy. In order for sugar to turn into raw energy, you need B vitamins, iron, CoQ10, amino acids, and oxygen. And as many of you might say, well, like, aren't I getting that from my daily multivitamin? Most people are not. The average person we test is severely magnesium, B vitamin, and iron deficient. Most people have such low levels of CoQ10, it's a wonder they can even get through their day on a daily basis. The average person I work with is severely protein deficient. We actually check your amino acids and we look at your proteins. So just imagine this. Magnesium is low, B vitamins are low, iron's out of balance, CoQ10 is low, and you're wondering why you can't become energized? Because your mitochondria are just not working. Restoring mitochondrial health is not about stimulating your mitochondria. It's about getting the entire rhythm back on track again and letting your body reestablish normal citric acid cycle controls. When your mitochondria work, then guess what? Sugars get turned into energy, and your blood sugars are a fuel source, so the fuel gets burned, and finally, they start to drop by themselves. So, is 90 days a realistic time frame for you to break out of diabetes? We can answer this biologically. Insulin receptors sensitize when insulin demand drops. Your gut lining can regenerate in weeks. Your nervous system can be recalibrated within weeks. Red blood cells can regenerate within about 90 days. So does this mean that every single person gets rid of their diabetes in 90 days? No, but it means that you can drastically make a massive change. And I have seen people go from pre-diabetic to perfect in 90 days, and even from type 2 diabetic to pre-diabetic in 90 days. The key is about making drastic, measurable changes in a window that just makes sense biologically. 90 days is a metabolic reset point. Can healing take place in 90 days? You can certainly have a lot of improvements. Blood sugar getting better, blood pressure getting better, cholesterol's getting better, weight getting better, energy getting better, and that's everything that you all want. How do I know that? Because you constantly keep asking us. Tell me how to get more energy. How do I lose weight? Stop focusing on what you're missing and focus on the interferences you have. A diabetes reversal program happens when insulin demand is reduced, when your liver stops overproducing, when your muscles burn sugar for energy, when your gut is no longer inflamed, when your nervous system is working perfectly, and number 6, when your mitochondria reestablish their ability to create energy out of sugar. It's exactly how we were metabolically created. So if you've been told diabetes is permanent, I want you to hear this clearly. That belief did not come from human physiology. It came from a limited framework, probably through your medical doctor who follows pharmaceutical advice. Your body is not broken. It's just responding intelligently to the stressors that it currently has. Identify the stressors, remove them, the body heals by itself. It's not about forcing it. It's about just creating an environment where the healing is inevitable. And you can do that. You've got the 6 pillars that will help you to do it. You have the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, or do you? Take a moment. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I'm starting a series on how to solve and conquer all of the issues related with diabetes. We're going to do this for the next 4 weeks as we lead up to the masterclass, Destroying Diabetes in 90 Days. March 14th. It's at 10 a.m. in the morning. It's all yours free. Just text the word diabetes plus your name and email right now, 704-906-2094. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. And just know that every Saturday at 3 p.m., we are here, available and ready to ask the hard questions. If you have type 2 diabetes, if you have even type 1 or, oh my God, type 3, which we're going to have to talk about at some future point, send us a message. Ask us to help you, and we'll even custom curate some radio shows specific to you. Go to AskDrErnst.com, click the Contact Us button, and send your messages away to us. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I look forward to seeing you guys every Saturday, 3 o'clock right here. Until next time, be blessed. Bye-bye.